You do this every single morning without thinking. You reach for fabric, a shirt, a jacket, a blanket you kicked off in the night. You assume warmth comes from clothes, that without them, we would simply freeze. That being naked in the cold is a death sentence. It is not. For 99% of human history, we did not have zippers. We did not have wool sweaters. We did not have cold sweaters. We did not have coats. And yet we survived ice ages. We survived nights where the temperature dropped below zero. We survived on open grasslands with nothing but our skin against the wind. So how did we do it? The answer is not what you think. It is stranger, more clever, and far more human than just shivering until sunrise. To understand it, you have to forget everything you know about staying warm. You have to travel back to a time before history had a name. Imagine this. It is dawn 200,000 years ago. The sun is barely up. The air is sharp. It bites your lungs. A small group of humans huddles together on the savanna of Africa. They have no clothes, no fire yet, no shelter made of wood, just skin. Modern logic says they should be dead, but they are not. They're alive. They're warm. And they have a secret. The first secret is their own body. We look at our bodies today and think we are fragile. But ancient human bodies were different, not because of magic, but because of physics. Early humans had more muscle mass relative to their size. Muscle generates heat even when you are not moving. It is a furnace that never turns off. They were also lean, but they had something we have mostly lost. Brown fat. Today, most adults have very little brown fat. Babies have it. It is a special kind of fat that does not store energy. It burns it directly into heat. Scientists studying human remains and comparing us to our closest cold-adapted cousins believe early humans retained far more brown fat into adulthood. Their bodies were literally built to burn themselves warm. But that is not enough. Not on its own. Biology will only get you so far when the wind cuts through the trees. So they changed their behavior. If you could watch them from above, you would see them never alone. Ancient humans did not sleep alone. They did not sit alone. They survived because they refused to be separate. At night they huddled, chest to chest, limb to limb, sharing breath. A single human body radiates about as much heat as a small light bulb. Put 10 of them together, press tight, and you have a living heater. In caves across Europe, archaeologists have found sleeping hollows, shallow depressions in the ground, exactly the size of several bodies curled together. This was not accident. This was technology. The first technology was each other. Then, about 1,000,000 years ago, everything changed, not with a new invention of cloth or fur, but with something far more dangerous. Fire. Deep inside Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found something impossible. Ash, burnt bone, charred plant remains, layered deep in the earth, dated to 1,000,000 years ago. That is hundreds of thousands of years before we thought humans could control fire. They did not know how to make it at first. They found it. After lightning struck a tree. After a wildfire swept the plain. They captured it like a wild animal and kept it alive. They fed it. They guarded it. Because fire was not just light. It was summer in the palm of your hand. A group with fire could raise the temperature of a small cave by 15 degrees. They could sit around it, their backs to the cold stone, their faces to the flame. They could heat rocks and bury them under the sleeping floor. They could make the night itself survivable. But fire did something else. It allowed them to leave Africa. As humans moved north into Europe and Asia, they walked into a world that should have killed them. The Ice Age was not one long winter. It was a brutal, flickering cycle of deep freezes that lasted tens of thousands of years. Temperatures dropped to -40. Mammoths roamed. Glaciers covered continents. No amount of brown fat or huddling could survive that without help. And this is where the story gets clever. They did not invent clothes yet, not as we know them. The first real sewn clothing, needle and thread, appears only about 45,000 years ago. So what did they do for the 100,000 years before that in the frozen north? They borrowed warmth. At a site in France called Terra Amata, dated to 400,000 years ago, archaeologists found the outlines of huts. Not caves. Huts, built on an open beach, exposed to wind. Inside those outlines were hearths, and around the hearths, post holes. These early humans, likely Homo heidelbergensis, our ancestors, were building shelters. Simple structures of saplings and animal hides draped over branches. No walls to keep out the cold, but enough to break the wind. And breaking the wind is everything. Wind steals heat faster than cold air ever can. A simple windbreak can make a -20 night feel survivable. They also use the earth itself. The ground is warm. Just a few feet down, the earth holds a steady temperature all year. In many places across Europe, we find pits dug into the floors of caves and huts, not for storage, for sleeping. A pit traps still air. Still air is insulation. Curl up in a shallow pit lined with dry grass and leaves. Cover yourself with a single mammoth hide with your family on top of you with a fire burning at the entrance, and you can survive a blizzard with no clothes at all. And then there were the animals. We think of hunting as being about food. For ancient humans in the north, hunting was about heat before it was about food. A single reindeer hide scraped clean and dried is an incredible insulator. The hollow hairs trap air. Even if you do not sew it into a shirt, you can wrap it around you. You can sleep inside it. You can create a pocket of warm air that travels with you. Neanderthals mastered this. We used to picture them as brutish, hairy savages barely surviving the cold. The truth is the opposite. Neanderthal bodies were perfectly engineered for cold. Short, stocky, barrel-chested, with short limbs. Less surface area to lose heat. Massive noses that warmed freezing air before it reached their lungs. They were the ultimate cold-weather humans, and they were smart. At sites in the Netherlands and in Russia, we find Neanderthal tools with residue of birch tar, a natural glue that only becomes sticky when heated to a precise temperature in a low-oxygen fire. They were making complex adhesives. They were building sophisticated shelters in places where no caves existed. They were not freezing. They were thriving. So when did actual clothes appear? This is where science gets detective-like. Clothes themselves almost never survive. Skin rots. Fur decays. So we had to find another witness. Lice. Human lice evolved into two types, head lice and body lice. Body lice and wadi. By tracing the DNA of body lice and seeing when they split from head lice, geneticists found a clock. That split happened somewhere between 100,000 and 170,000 years ago. That is likely when we first started wearing simple draped skins regularly enough for a parasite to evolve to live in them. But true tailored clothing, clothing cut to fit the body, is much later. About 45,000 years ago, in the depths of the last ice age, archaeologists in Siberia find eyed needles made of bone. Tiny, perfect, with a hole so small you need fine sinew to thread it. This is a revolution. Before the needle, you could only drape a hide over your shoulders. It would slip. It would leave gaps. Wind would get in. After the needle, you could make a sleeve, a hood, a boot. You could seal yourself inside warmth. You could make clothing that was windproof. And that changed everything. It allowed modern humans to move into the coldest places on Earth, places Neanderthals never reached. But here is the twist that brings us full circle. Even after we had clothes, we never stopped using the old ways. In the Arctic today, the Inuit know that no parka, no matter how thick, will keep you alive if you are alone and wet. They still build shelters from snow. Snow, which is frozen water, is full of trapped air. An igloo, which can be built in an hour, can be 20 degrees warmer inside than outside with just body heat alone. They still huddle. They still use fire or oil lamps to heat stones. On the other end of the world, in the deserts of Australia, Aboriginal peoples survived freezing desert nights for 60,000 years with no clothes at all. How? They controlled fire with astonishing skill, carrying small fire sticks with them as they walked. They dug sleeping pits. They used the warmth of the earth. And what about you? Tonight, when you pull a blanket over yourself, you are repeating a ritual that is 1,000,000 years old. You are creating a pocket of still air. You are trapping your own heat. Your blanket is a cave. Your bedroom is a windbreak. Your heater is a hearth. We never really invented a new way to stay warm. We just found new materials to do the same four things ancient humans did. We generate heat with our bodies. We share it with others. We trap it with shelter. And we steal it from fire. Clothes were never the beginning of our survival. They were a late improvement, a footnote in a much longer, much more ingenious story. The next time you step outside on a cold morning without a jacket and feel that sharp bite, remember this. The cold did not make us invent clothes. The cold made us invent us. Cooperative, clever, resilient. Warm not because of what we wear, but because of who we are when we are pressed together against the dark.